If you find you're unsettled listening today, reach out to a trusted friend or go to tradespodcast.com and click on resources.
We are worker-driven, no-nonsense conversations about mental health in the trades.
This is
Off the Clock Toolbox Talk.
Remy, so good to see you, buddy.
Likewise, man.
Oh, man.
Likewise.
Always with that mustache. Dude.
Trevor and I are back today with Off the Clock Toolbox Talk. And Trevor, we have a pretty cool guest today. Remy's with us today. Do you want to tell us how we ran into Remy?
You know what? I ran into Remy literally in a treatment center in 2019, and that is where our journey together started. And I just can't, I can't tell you how excited I am to have Remy here, because he both of us, we were there at ground zero, man, when we just dragged ourselves across the finish line of our active addiction and sort of slithered into a detox and started putting ourselves back together. So I'm just super proud of you, man, and excited to have you on here on the show. And I think your story will relate to so many people.
It's been quite the journey for Trevor and I. I remember Trevor day one, he came in hot to treatment, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, we're not trying to impress anyone here, we're all just trying to get better here."
Oh man, I know. I thought, I don't know, some people were like, "Dude, this isn't the summer barbecue," but honestly, man, I was so overdone. I was so done with the way I was living, and I was like literally the day before, I was ready to kill myself. And then I'm in this treatment center and I'm like, there are no drugs here. There's lots of food. I just felt safe. It was the first time in a long time I just felt safe. And I wasn't. And so I think that came through, but it definitely rubbed some people the wrong way.
Especially people who are maybe having trouble regulating without substances for their first time in a long time.
Yeah, well, my reality caught up with me very quickly, but for those first few days when I was first meeting people, it was like, I know people are just looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I think it's pretty common when you first get in, or anybody gets into treatment, they don't know what to expect, and they're going off how they behaved when they were out being a menace.
Totally.
But and then reality hits, and
oh man,
it's a good process that follows. So
yes, a lot of hard work. But let's start with how'd you find yourself there, man?
I think I have to take it back a bit, even to my childhood and the deep-rooted causes behind it. It wouldn't be fair to tell my story without that. So to my mom, she was part of the Sixties Scoop. And so her brothers and sisters were taken away from my grandmother forcibly. Child services came in and took the families away and the kids away, and they were adopted out into different families, separated from each other. And what that left me with was growing up as an Indigenous person in a white family. I lost my culture. I lost my sense of place, my belonging to a place, and who I am. And obviously, I'm like a little kid. I'm thinking okay, I'm First Nations. I have a status card. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to relate to the world as an Indigenous person. I didn't grow up with those values. And so it was a way of the government successfully almost assimilating me. And it's my journey has really been connecting back with culture and my roots and who I am as an Indigenous person. And that's been crucial to my healing process. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Who am I? What do I stand for? And what are my values? And who and what is my community? So being a young man, I didn't have that. I didn't know who I was, and I felt like a bit of an outcast, and I didn't know why. I didn't have this knowledge of what is the 60s Scoop, what is systemic racism, and how does it affect me? And it was affecting me though.
Well, that's just not being taught in a white family, right?
No.
Yeah.
And
No, and I think
were you in a mainstream community?
I was in Prince George
Okay.
for till I was like grade 4, so like around 10. And then we moved to Merritt. My mom and my parents split up, and then it kind of split up my siblings and I have a twin sister and a younger brother.
Hmm.
And then my mom got into another relationship that my mom was an alcoholic at the time, and so I've seen a lot of that alcohols, and there was violence and toxic relationships. That was my kind of example growing up. My mother eventually got with my now current stepdad. He was an alcoholic too, and he just went to treatment. I think he'd be okay with me speaking about this, and he got sober 53 days or something now. And I'm
Nice.
Oh, so he
so
just went to
stoked for him.
treatment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
It's never too late, man.
it's not, but my point is, I got some stepbrothers out of that relationship and grew up with them. Didn't have a super close relationship with them all, but two of them I was like really close with. So when we went to high school in Merritt, and I'd say around like 14 years old, found alcohol, and for me, like well, I'll back it up a little bit. Like I was experiencing anxiety and depression, and I had no idea what it was. And I remember I was having panic attacks, and I was going to the doctor, and he'd be like, "Oh, it's anxiety." I'm like, "No, it's not," because I had no idea what that actually meant. Meanwhile, I was experiencing it, and when I found alcohol, it was like that all went away, and so there was no better thing I could imagine to solve my issues. All of a sudden, I was free to be myself. I was relaxed. I was charismatic. I was everything I wish I could have been. And
Very relatable. Very relatable.
it was just like, these contributing factors to my addiction was like just like bad mental health, not the greatest upbringing, the loss of identity, just these key factors. And so when I found alcohol, I never had a healthy relationship with it. It was
No.
like I remember my first drink, my first time I got intoxicated, it was like I blacked out. Like, and then it was just every single time. It was just like till I passed out or like puked or, you know, at a young
That was
age.
it.
Yeah, like I remember my first time smoking tobacco. I did it out of a bong to get the high.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's a
Yeah.
story we don't hear often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was just doing anything to get out of myself and not feel what I was feeling. The next few years of my life was just kind of a blur. It was living for the weekends and finish school, whatever. I think I dropped out of school. Yeah, I did. High school. And then I was like 17 and I started working at a gold mine.
Wow.
An actual gold mine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was making like 28 bucks an hour, doing like 10-hour days when I was 17 years old.
Wow.
Big man.
And yeah, I was like, all right, we're good. Like this is it. And got fired.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously because I was out partying. Didn't make work one morning and I don't blame that guy for firing me, not at all.
No.
I was a menace at work even. I was up to no good. I remember I fell a tree onto an outhouse that my buddy was in.
Oh.
Cut this tree down and went onto an outhouse. I thought it was hilarious.
I think it's hilarious now.
Now, assuming he was okay.
Yeah.
He was fine.
Oh,
He was
man.
fine.
Good.
But yeah,
We should
I
have
was
asked that
always,
before we
I was
started
always,
laughing.
I was always living on the edge and pushing those boundaries, right? And
Yeah, man.
thrill seeking. I still do to an extent for sure, but
Yes, you do. It's your job, though.
getting a little older and wiser now. Yeah, absolutely. So then after that, I know everybody's talked about the oil field, and I was jobless, 18 years old, and I was like, all right, off to Grand Prairie.
Good for
And
you.
I did the oil rig thing. It started off well, and then I remember like going the boss of the company, I was on the rigs, and he was driving me out to the patch, and we were going out there, and I had no idea what to expect. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I was going to get like treated like a new guy, and it's like kind of intimidated. I was like just a young man. And I didn't know left from right really.
Yeah.
And I get out there, and right away the guys are just like ragging on me. And I
Yeah.
showed up to the rig, and I remember I was started on the night shift, and the night shift is switching on. They just look at me, and one guy goes back in the doghouse and he slams the door, and I just hear him screaming at my supervisor, "What the hell is this guy doing here? He's just a kid, blah blah blah." And so right away I felt unwelcomed and pretty intimidated, right? And yeah, I experienced like some traumas there, like for real. And but then like after a while, like your crew becomes your family, and you start
Yeah.
getting treated with more respect. But it
They
was
make you earn it though. They really do make you earn it.
absolutely, yeah.
It's
And
that idea in the skilled trades of paying our dues.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was long shifts, and then there was drinking after. I remember the drive in, the owner of the company was like, "Yeah, you'll do good. Just don't do the drugs. Don't get into coke, nothing like that." And I was like, "Yeah, no way. Like, I just like drinking, like whatever."
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple years, working up north there, and I think I had been through like a couple different jobs at this point. I remember it was like Christmas time, and I think I was 20 years old, and all the guys around me were doing coke, and I
Mm.
was just like, I'll try it out. Wow, I was amazed. I fell in love right away, and yeah, for the next 5 years, I delved pretty deep into that, and until I got into recovery, and I'm actually grateful I tried that first line, because I don't know where I would be otherwise. I could still be out there drinking, or who knows, but it brought
Suffering.
my demise quickly. It really took me downhill, and it was never like a steady constant in my life. I would go off and on, off and on. I think one of the issues is really expensive.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm. Yeah.
we found ways around that too. Like you start selling to be able to consume daily. That comes with a lot of crime and a lot of shady characters around you. Like, yeah, it took me to some dark places that, like, I look back at my life now, and it's like, I don't even believe it sometimes. I was like, that was that was me, that was my life. And um it's hard to imagine now.
Yeah.
You know, when we first got signed in there to Cedars, and you remember on Detox they had like those that set of videos they let you watch. Like it's kind of all you get to watch in there, and like you can put in the video, and it's like that addiction counselor. I can't remember his
Yeah.
name, but I remember him specifically. I remember it because it just perked my ears up. He was like, in a way, I'm kind of envious of cocaine addicts because nothing takes you to the bottom faster once it gets your hooks in.
Oh
Therefore,
yeah.
nothing gets you to recovery faster than cocaine because of the
Yeah.
price, because of like how it digs into you. Like he's like, you can go from everything's great to losing your health and everything, housewife and everything in less than a year with cocaine. And he said by comparison, opioids that can spend nearly a lifetime ripping your family and your life apart. And so that always stuck with me. So when you mentioned like it takes you some dark places quickly.
From the first time I tried it, it was like, okay, I was doing it on the weekends, to like 2 months later, almost daily user. But yeah, back to like kind of what got me into recovery was the oil field crash. So I was like, I need to find something more sustainable. And I started working for a tree service company, and those guys are pretty wild. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they like to party and
They're like the
I,
run
iron
trains
workers in the
out.
forest.
I've seen some
Yeah,
videos, Remy. I've seen some videos, and you guys are pretty wild. I will give you that.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a cool trade. It's super fun and challenging, and it's scary like all the time. But it's just like getting over that in your head and getting comfortable with that fear is it's really interesting to go through that all the time. And then I started like working on the transmission lines, clearing the vegetation under them. And I was working for this company for about 2 years, and they did wildfires in the summer, contractor wildfire fighting. And then it was the hydro slashing in the off season. So like fall, winter, and spring. I remember it was my second day I missed in 2 years because I was out partying, and he fired me, sent me home. And that was a bit of a rock bottom. He kicked me out of the hotel we were staying in Vernon. So I got another room at the same hotel and just drank my sorrows away until I had no money. And then I borrowed some money and to get home, and hopped on a Greyhound, and I went home. And yeah, I was like 24 at the time, and my drinking and drug use was pretty bad by now. And I just lived a couple years on the road. I didn't even have like a house. It's like I just had a duffel bag and a chainsaw. That was like my worldly possessions, and
That's a cowboy
party.
lifestyle.
Yeah, I remember like we do like 10 to 12 hours a day, get off, and every day I was like, I'm not doing that again. And I'll just
Right.
get a six pack. Turns into like 3, 4 a.m. I'm still up, high as a
Yeah.
kite, and then, waking up at 5:36, sleeping for maybe an hour or two, and then I would do that for weeks, like absolutely insane. Yeah,
Oh,
when people say
chills right now. Yeah.
addiction isn't a lack of willpower, like I think back to that, like how much willpower it took me to get up every day, go through withdrawals, go to work, and just work so hard that I'm not thinking about how shitty I physically feel. And then if I stopped, I would be shaking, I would be panicking, worst dread of my, you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so I would just keep going, 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 going until finally I get off work and there's my medicine.
Doing that process is easier than not doing it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
doing that whole process is easier than physically stopping yourself from doing it in the first place. Like doing the drugs and drinking. It's hard for me to like imagine even now having gone through it. I'm like, fuck.
So I got fired, and it led me to just being sober for like no amount of time. It was dusk till dawn. And I'd gone through different periods working seasonally and stuff where I would drink for months straight, having no prospects of work ahead of me. It was a couple months of steady every day and not being able to sleep and getting really ill. And I remember one morning it was about a couple weeks of time where I knew I had to make a change, and it was get into recovery, get sober, or die. And my first choice was die. And I was trying to. And I just kept waking up every day, and I'd be so frustrated because like, Kate, I have to go through another day of this suffering and not wanting to be alive, but not knowing what to do and not knowing there's a solution, and not thinking that was possible for me.
Very
I
familiar.
thought I was too far gone, too far down the hole. And I remember praying one morning. I was trying to drink whiskey. It was like 6 a.m. and I was trying to keep this whiskey down, but I kept puking, and I was puking blood, and I was about 145 pounds at the time. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds right now. So just to reference, so I was pretty sick, and I remember just praying, and I didn't have any concept of a higher power then, but I was just like, help, I need help. And I gave in. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Obviously, there have been times like that before in my life, and it wasn't just a one-off situation, but that time something was different. And I asked for a ride to the hospital from the people that were around me, and they took me there, and the receptionist wasn't going to take me in.
Wow.
They were like, well, nothing's wrong with you. I'm like, I'm withdrawing. I need help. I'm an alcoholic. And they're like, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you.
Oh.
I pleaded with them. I was like, just take my blood. Like, you'll see that there's something not right with me. And they end up getting a nurse to take me in, and then they took my blood, ran some tests, and then the doctor came in. He's like, Remy, come with me. He's like, lay down. You probably don't feel good. And I was like, no, like I'm not doing good. He's like, you're probably in a lot of pain, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, my kidneys were failing, my liver was failing, my pancreas wasn't doing good. I had a buildup of iron in my blood, because my
Wow.
white blood cells were dying. I was anemic. So right away he put me on antipsychotics and medications to basically detox me. And then that night I got into a detox center. And I remember that doctor sitting me down. He's like, Remy, you can do this, man. Like, you'll be okay. That stuck with me, you know? It's just like he showed me a bit of love and compassion. Yeah, it's just the way it all worked out was kind of crazy. It's like from that morning to that night, there I was in detox, and I remember the staff's name, like Anne Marie. She was like just the loveliest lady that took care of me the whole time. And yeah, I was still in a lot of pain there. Couldn't sleep for like a couple of days, and yeah, it's a bit of a blur, honestly. But there was this other fella in there. He was coming off of other substances, and he wouldn't shut up about AA. And he was going like every day, and I was like, "That's not for me." Like, I didn't want anything to do about with it really, and then finally, like, I was just getting bored in this house and starting to feel a little better, like getting some food in me, got a little bit of energy back, and I just wanted to get out of the house. It was like day 4 or 5, and it's like, okay, I'll go, just so you'll shut up about it and leave me alone, and I want out of here. And those people, they seen I was needing help, and they just embraced me with love, and they connected with me. They like I didn't believe them because they were telling me things I could relate to, but they seemed to be happy and living good lives, normal lives without any sort of substances. I didn't know that was possible. Gave me this little sliver of hope, and I clung on to that. It changed my entire perception of reality because all of a sudden there was a chance. I had hope, just a little bit, but I had it. So I went every day for 17 days in a row. I had to. I needed it. That's where I was at in my life.
What are you gonna do?
Either I die or I change. That's the only options I had. And I was like, okay, I'm not very good at dying, so obviously I have to get sober here.
Right? I'm terrible at dying. Oh man. Oh, I love that, buddy.
Fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm terrible at dying.
In that 17 days, I got a counselor. I was like, get me into rehab. He worked out some miracles and got me on a waiting list right away. And day 18, didn't go to a meeting, relapsed. Yeah, day 1 without a meeting, relapsed. Happens that quick for me. And so I spent another 2.5 months drinking until I finally got into treatment at Cedars at Cobble Hill there. Went in pretty rough shape. I remember the greatest part about it, I was anemic, and so they put me on double food portions.
Yes, I remember.
And yeah, and
you and this other guy named. I was so jealous of you guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I put on 50 pounds in about 50 days, which is insane, but
he did. It was like you came in as one person, like half a person, and then you turned into a whole person, like metaphorically, but physically as well.
Physically as well.
Yeah, it was just like crazy transformation. But I remember I was done detoxing, and I was kind of getting my wits about me, and like I was like, oh no, like how did I get myself here? I just burst out crying, and I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It was so daunting. But I think that's where what I know now is it's one day at a time. Sober 10 days, Remy didn't know that. But one key piece that I forgot to mention was that when I got fired, I was only suspended. The conditions, I go back, I write my boss a letter to why I'll never do that again. And I was like, never wrote the letter. And I was like, Katie, like, I'm not coming back because I'm drinking. And he's like, go to rehab, Remy. And it actually really stuck with me because I didn't have anything but my work. That's who I was. And I was good at what I did. I was young. I worked super hard. And the harder I worked, the less I felt. no one was like partying like I was. Like I was always kind of the outlier in that sense. But yeah, it was always like I felt like I went harder than everybody and did more and just like felt worse afterwards too. I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, do other people like feel this shitty? I don't know. So in treatment, I'd say about 2 months in, started feeling pretty good and started to actually feel loved. And we call it the pink cloud, right? And
Yeah.
um, I was not sure why I even deserved that second chance. And at the same time, I was seeking out a higher power, which I had always struggled with and didn't know what to believe or what to think of religion. That wasn't for me. Eventually, it just became very simple for me, and it's like I'm not supposed to understand that concept. I
Mm.
just know it's there and it loves me and it'll guide me in the right direction.
It's that simple, right?
Yeah,
Like when I hear pushback about 12-step fellowships, and I don't care if people do them or don't do them or whatever, as long as they find their way. When I hear some of the criticisms, I'm like, half the time I just want to say you're overcomplicating things. Like you're reading too far into the text. It's surface level, basic shit. Yeah, just believe in something that loves you, like something that's bigger
yeah,
than you that loves you. That's
yeah.
it.
It was actually really beautiful for me. It was an aha moment, like where the light bulb went on, and I was like, here I am trying to figure out a higher power, the all great being deity, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to figure it out and understand it. And I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to understand that. Like it's greater than me. Like how much of an asshole am I to think I'm gonna understand what that is? And I just humbled myself and I was like, all right, that's where things kind of really changed for me. And I was like, I'm just gonna pray and rely on it and see what happens. Not to make this too spiritual or about a higher power or anything like that, but it is an important piece of the story where I was lost again, but I was feeling good and I was hopeful and I was like, all right, like I get a new chance at life. And so I spent 77 days in Cobble Hill. They kicked me out, sent me back home. At this point in my life, I was living in Ballycoola, put into a forestry role right when I got back, and I was around really good people, people in recovery. I was having like a lot of temptations and wanted to go back out with my friends, and I was going to parties, and I just had to get out of there. And I got an opportunity for a job in Campbell River. I jumped, literally got on a plane without even having a house or a place to live or anything. I was like, I'll figure it out. Really good experience in Campbell River. I ended up going to school there to get my forest tech and started with wildfire, BC wildfire while I was living in Campbell River and some like pretty big seasons during that time period. I don't know if I want to get into it. Just the crew as a whole hasn't really talked about it too much, but there was a lot of trauma that happened and there was times where I was shown why I was still here, why I was given a second chance. I felt as though like my higher power was walking right beside me a lot of the time. And all the meanwhile I was getting really connected to the culture there. And then Clackmick, I was based out of Lytton. Really, really strong First Nations leadership on that crew. I think that's something I was seeking out at the time. Forestry had been predominantly dominated by white males. And so I was seeking out mentors that were First Nations and role models I could look up to. So shout out to strong First Nation leaders.
Yes.
I work for myself as a contractor, taking on different forestry related tasks, a lot of wildfire risk reduction work, do a lot of tree service and highways right of way clearing. So pretty diversified. And the cool thing is like I get to provide opportunities in my community for others and pay them good wages, get them training and help them overcome hurdles that I went through and provide a safe space for them, right? I talk about my emotions pretty regularly in the workplace and And I'm real with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not putting on any sort of facade. And I think it catches a lot of people off guard where that openness and isn't in the workplace regularly. And it's like the strict, like punctual schedules, like to just, that's not for me. And I think it's kind of silly. Like, yeah, show up on time and show up to a client's place when you say you're going to. But like today I had to get an x-ray and I just went and got an x-ray.
It sounds to me like you're developing into that which you were seeking,
Yeah,
right? You were
truly, yeah.
seeking strong Indigenous leadership, a place where culture and love could be there and be there for other people. And you've become what it was you were seeking. And I just think that's the most
Mhm.
amazing full circle
Yeah.
moment, which doesn't mean there's not still challenges, but I think that's incredible.
Yeah. Shout
Yeah,
out to this strong Indigenous leader.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Thanks,
buddy.
Trevor.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Trevor.
earned it, buddy.
I just felt like I don't want people to feel as alone as I did before.
Yeah.
And just to know that they have somebody, they have a place they can go and feel valued for who they are.
Yeah.
And I never had that. I was always valued for my output
Mm.
and what I could do for the company, like brass tacks, right? All about dollar
Yeah.
signs. And I attached my self-worth to that greatly. And if I wasn't doing good production, say, I didn't feel good about myself. And that's who I was. And I think that's relatable for a lot of people in our position. We'll bring it full circle. Like I found a lot of those pieces of myself that was missing right back from like my mom's life and like I've reconnected with culture and I'm part of the New Hulk community now here in Bella Coola and they've adopted me as a New Hulk member and so now I have a culture and the government wasn't successful at assimilating me and I can stand tall and be proud of who I am and
Yes.
That's so
and
amazing.
think with a lot of what I do is combating that
Mm.
that systemic racism, which is so very prevalent. It's advocate for First Nations people's rights now, and I'm leaning kind of away from forestry and more into stewardship,
Yeah.
which
Sweet.
is interesting, and just being like a spokesperson for First Nations people and I get to like change people's lives and like I get to take on youth and like show them a way of life that they may not be connected with currently and
With great
it's
power
pretty
comes great responsibility.
Hmm.
yeah like you were saying Karen like I have a lot of challenges today but it's I love it it's like
Yeah.
my challenges are things that are inspiring to me it's like okay solutions
Yeah.
to these challenges are fun.
And don't want to get too woo woo, but I got chills when you were talking about how you could like feel that loving presence, like walking right beside you when you were going through some really tough things. And for
Mhm.
me, that makes an incredible difference when I am working through really tough stuff. And I'm like, nobody should be dealing with this much fucking shit that's just like coming from every direction. It's coming from below, above, the side. It's just like this is crazy. But feeling that loving presence with me, and I really related to that part too. And it's so powerful that I hope that other people experience that too. And
We
that I
never
think
have to
really
be
takes it
alone.
to another level.
Yeah.
Once we find it, we never have to be alone again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I think the ultimate like superpower I have is like I hit this like extreme rock bottom and I dug myself out of it. And now other things in my life are I know I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
things
I can
can be
do hard
worse.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can do really hard things and
Yeah.
survive that. And not only survive, but thrive through that, right? And
Yeah.
so
I lived under this crushing power, this fear of failure. And then you wind up in a treatment center, you do 60 days of treatment, get out as a recovered individual and start working on sobriety and have success. You're like, oh, I can fail pretty hard and get through things. Like, so now
yeah,
I'm not so scared of failure anymore. I can fail
yeah,
hard and I can have success,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll share a moment I had with my higher power, Karen. So town had burned down, and my crew was local to that town, and we had a couple of days break of extreme fire activity, and then we took a wind shift. The first one during that fire, and it was blowing like 70 kilometers an hour in the opposite direction that we had constructed our guards. And so the fire was now going back towards what was remaining of the town. And it wasn't just like random community members, it was like other crew members' houses. And there was 21 of us, and we're like, okay, like we got to pull off a miracle here to stop this thing. And Mother Nature will win every time. And she was kicking our ass. And I was watching it real time, like about to destroy what was left. And I can't describe what that's like. I can hardly begin to even, but it was pretty crushing. And this was the middle of summer. It hasn't rained in forever. Like drought was like insane. Like we're talking like plus 45
Yeah, I
up
was
to
gonna
plus
say,
50.
I remember that incident, and it was insane, incomprehensible
Yeah.
temperatures.
Yeah,
Like
we seen plus 50s, like, and we were working in that.
like
And
hottest on the planet at that
yep,
spot where you were at then.
yep.
Yeah.
And so this wall of fire, like 30-foot flames is coming at. I'm watching it come towards me, and I have like a sprinkler, and I'm like, no way. Like, and
Wow.
there's like a school behind me. I'm like, oh my God. And I dropped to my knees and I prayed, and I was like, you can't do this to us. Like, we're if this is gone, like this crew's gone. Like we're all gonna be broken. Like we're barely hanging on here. And as I'm on my knees and crying, I feel a goddamn raindrop. It's just like
Wow.
drip, 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 drip. And we got 5 minutes of rain.
What?
Like 5 minutes. And I'm
Fucking
like,
miracle.
and so the wind shift was bringing in different weather, right? And just enough to sprinkle it and suppress the flames and allow us to get in, construct guards, and suppress it enough to where we're able to like save the community. And I was like, whoa, like
I don't remember any
that.
rain being around that week at all. Like nothing close to it.
There was none. There was none. There
It
was
was
just
just
right
that one
there,
spot right there
Right
where
super
you
there.
were.
localized. Yeah.
What the
Beautiful.
heck?
Yeah.
Man.
And yeah, I experienced like multiple things like that during my time on that crew, and came to know my higher power really well. And
Yeah.
that it I've never prayed and like hadn't an answer come like immediately. Like that was kind of
Physically?
like spooky to even think about. Like
Yeah.
you're like, hey, don't do this. Like this is crazy. Okay, here's
Yeah.
some rain. Like
Yeah.
um
That's awesome. Oh
That's a
man.
wild
I
story.
got chills. I got chills.
but
Especially
just to
because I
be
can remember that whole entire incident, and I was glued to the news, and it was, relatively local to our area. And just and there was no moisture, no rain, no nothing anywhere. And I
no.
don't remember anything ever being reported about any
Hmm.
rain coming down. It was the spot that you were standing in, like a
Yeah.
movie, with the rain just
Yeah.
coming down on you. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it
So
truly
cool.
was. Like best firefighting crew in the world that year. Like we were facing like impossible challenges on a daily basis, and like getting wins. there was the strength in the connection we had.
Mm.
And that was like a big lesson for me. And it's just like, okay, like that power of connection can perform miracles. Like,
Yeah.
and so it related to like just my lessons in life and recovery that like as an individual, I'm not capable of much, but like with this group conscious and anything's possible.
Dude, I just want to go out, like hang out for dinner and just like hear you tell stories. This was just
Yeah,
really...
we can make it happen. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks for the opportunity. Really grateful. Awesome to share a bit of my story.
Off the Clock Toolbox Talk is produced by Karen Jansen, Trevor Botkin, and our steering committee of men in the trades on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. The content of this podcast is conversation between people with living experience and should not be taken as professional advice. For more information, visit tradespodcast.com.